Receiver start is A.J. Brown versus the Ravens. 2 out of the 3 last games, A.J. has had over 100 yards. I like Jacobs against the Dolphins this week. 4 out of the last 5 games, he scored over 20 plus.
Ladd McConkey going against Atlanta. He's averaging 16 fantasy points a game. That's a wide receiver 1 in the league right now.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're back. Drew, Mike. It's week 13 here, guys. We're closer and closer to the fantasy playoffs, so hopefully we can help you guys play the right guys and sit the right guys this week.
Yeah, I mean, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you're going to enjoy these football games that are going to be on Thursday. And I'm really happy and ready to get this started.
All right, so we're going to start off with quarterbacks. And my quarterback start is C.J. Stroud versus the Jags. Guys, I think this is the week. I think this is where we see Stroud look like what he did last year in his rookie year. Nico Collins is getting healthier. That's a big boost for them. The first game they played against the Jags this year, he threw for 345 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Jags defense has been struggling all year. They're 31st in total defense, allowing over 400 yards a game, 31st in pass defense, and 30th in scoring defense. Come on, CJ. I believe in you. I believe this is the week. And if the Jags lose, I think this is where their head coach gets fired, and they're just playing for Travis Hunter in the draft.
Right. Yeah, I agree. What a great pick. C.J. Stroud going against the Jags. Jags defense, they're not very good. They're bottom tier at everything out there. So I like that start. So my start QB is going to be Justin Herbert. He's going against Atlanta. Atlanta's defense is 7th in allowing fantasy points to the QB position. Herbert's been on fire this year. He's starting to live up to all that hype that he come into the league at. He's throwing the ball. He's averaging about 270 yards a game. I just like this matchup. He's going to have a great game. He's going against Atlanta, who's 25th in giving up total yards. Total defense in a game is 360, and they're 26 in passing, over 230 yards through the air. I like this matchup. I even like it so much that I might want to stack him with another guy that I'll mention later.
Ooh, okay. I like that. All right, so now we're on to our quarterback sits, and my quarterback sit is Anthony Richardson versus the Patriots. 3 out of the last 4 AR starts. He's completed less than 40% of his passes. He struggled last week against the Lions. He scored 12 points against them. The Patriots defense is middle of the pack, but Josh Downs, AR's number 1 guy, he's going to miss some time. So I think Richardson and the Colts are going to struggle this week. I think it's going to be a snooze fest. And guys, less than 40% completing his passes. That's Tim Tebow numbers, if we're just being honest. And how long was Tebow in the league for?
Right. Yeah, I mean, he offers the same thing where he has to run to put up any points for you. But yeah, Anthony Richardson is such a boom or bust player for you. And he leans towards more games of being a bust than he does having a breakout game for you. I have to sit him. I can't really start him because you never know when he's going to break off a big run or score some touchdowns. So he's very hard to pick at as far as what kind of game he's going to produce for you.
Yeah.
So my sit is going to be Jordan Love. He's going against Miami. Miami's defense is 3rd against the QB. They're pretty stout. They're 8th in passing yards. They're shutting teams down. It's a bad matchup. I mean, Jordan Love is, talk about inconsistent. This is a guy that's up one week and down the next. I can't really start him. He's too inconsistent for me. Guys that I'd rather start over Jordan Love. I'd rather play Bo Nix.
You love Bo Nix.
Tua and Stafford. There's 3 guys that I'd rather start over a guy that you probably drafted as your starter. These are guys that you probably picked up off the waiver wire. I want to start him over Jordan Love.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I like that pick because my running back start is Josh Jacobs
Hmm.
versus the Dolphins. He's killing it right now. He's running back 4 out of the last 5 games. He scored over 20 plus. He's averaging over 18 touches a game. Dolphins are 18th against running backs, and it's in Lambeau. So I like the Packers, and I like the potential game script for Jacobs in this one. He's third in rushing, and the Packers are finding success on offense when they are running heavy with Jacobs. So I like Jacobs against the Dolphins this week with how Jordan Love's been very inconsistent. They need to win games. They need to stack wins, so I think they're going to lean on Josh Jacobs.
Oh yeah, he's a back that you do want to lean on. Once he gets going, he helps out everything on the field out there. He's a good running back. I do like it as a start going against Dolphins. That's the better way to attack that defense is rushing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. So my start play, he's kind of like a flex player guy. He's not one of them automatic start guys. I want to fire up Tony Pollard going against Washington. Washington is averaging the most yards given up to the running back position. Tony Pollard, when he's having a good game, he's averaging 20 carries a game. And then other games when they go away from the rush, he's not as many. Washington is 15th and giving up fantasy points to the running backs. Tony Pollard is a game script type of running back, but he also is a guy that catches the ball. Mm-hmm. So I like the reception upside that Tony Pollard can offer to you. And last week, he was out on 63 snaps at 90%. That was 90% of the offensive snaps. I like that. I know Tajay Spears was hurt, but Tony Pollard is their RB1. I like the matchup against Washington. I think Titans really have to establish this run game against Washington to stay in the game with them. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, he's just a guy that if you're on the fence against somebody who you want to start, I like Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I like him a lot too. All right, so my running back sit is James Conner versus the Vikings. He struggled last week against the Seahawks. 7 carries for 8 yards. And now he's playing against the Vikings, who have been a really great defense, and they've allowed the least amount of rushing yards. They're third against running backs this year and only have allowed 4 rushing touchdowns this year. The Vikings defense have only allowed 2 running backs to eclipse the 100 yards in a game. It was Jordan Mason week 2, then Jahmyr Gibbs when they played the Lions. They're 4th in scoring defense, only allowing 17 points per game. I don't like this matchup at all. And the Cardinals are hit or miss offensively. One week they'll score 30, then the next week they'll score maybe 10. Mm-hmm. So I can't play James Conner this week against that Vikings defense.
You're right. He was my running back sit. I like James Conner, but this is the way you attack the Vikings defense is throwing the ball. They're at the bottom tier against the pass, and they're up at the top tier against the run. I think it's going to be a bad game for James Conner, only for the fact that they're going to have to throw the ball to try to win this game. Arizona's still in the playoff hunt, and they need to win games. And Minnesota, you got to throw the ball to win against, and that's the way to attack that defense. I have to sit James Conner or temper expectations for him because I don't think he's going to put up solid numbers for you.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now our receiver start, and my receiver start is A.J. Brown versus the Ravens. 2 out of the 3 last games, A.J. has had over 100 yards receiving, and now he's going up against that struggling Ravens secondary. I think the Ravens are going to force the Eagles to beat them by throwing with Hurts, rather than let Saquon run wild like he did last week. Quentin Johnson could have had a really good game, but he couldn't catch a cold against them. The Eagles are cooking on offense right now. 3 out of the last 5 games, they've scored over 30 plus. And the other 2, they scored 26 points plus. So I think this is going to be a fun matchup between these 2 teams that have a really good chance to meet in the Super Bowl. So I'm looking forward to that matchup, A.J. Brown versus the Ravens.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the higher scoring games projected of the week. A.J. Brown is a stud. And the best way to beat the Ravens are throwing the ball. Mm-hmm. So I think he's a pretty good automatic start, as I agree with you there. So I mentioned this guy is stacking with Justin Herbert, I'm going with Ladd McConkey going against Atlanta. Atlanta is sixth at allowing the most points to the receiver position. Hey, I think it's really time for you to start Ladd McConkey because he's the last 5 weeks he's averaging 16 fantasy points a game. That's a wide receiver one in the league right now. So, and he's doing that in the last 4 out of 5 games. He's doing it without scoring a touchdown. So he's putting up wide receiver one production, and he's not getting in the end zone. He gets a ton of targets and a lot of catches. He's a big reception guy. I like Ladd McConkey. I think he's going to have a great game. Atlanta is allowing the 4th most points per game to the receivers, and they are in a league lead high at 1.36 touchdowns a game. So I think Ladd in this game is going to score a touchdown. That's my guess in this. I like this matchup. I think he's going to have a great day for you.
Yeah, Ladd's putting up that Julian Edelman numbers. He's getting 7 catches for 100 yards, no touchdowns, but this is the week he scores.
Right.
All right.
That's where I'm going.
Receiver sit is Deebo Samuel versus the Bills. Deebo was just running out there for cardio last week. 1 catch for 21 yards. Granted, it was without Brock Purdy, but Deebo hasn't been reliable at all this year. The last 5 games, he's averaging 6.8 points per game. Deebo is getting outsnapped by Juwan Jennings. I believe he's the 4th option on the 49ers now with CMC, Kittle, and Jennings. Deebo has only had 1 good year of fantasy, and that was 2021 before CMC got there. So I don't like Deebo. I'm sitting him. That's why I'm sitting him.
Right. I mean, Deebo's not touching any of my starting lineups anymore in some of my leagues that I'm in. I bench him. I'll look around for a flex running back or another receiver to start over Deebo. He is just way inconsistent, and he's not putting up any kind of numbers that you can try to start. So I agree with that. My sit is DK Metcalf. He's going against the Jets. The Jets are number 1 in points to the not giving up points to the wide receiver. They're 2nd in passing defense allowed in a game, 174 yards a game. I think this is the best defense that he's going to be going against as far as covering the guys. With JSN is starting to emerge. He's still a little banged up coming back from his knee injury that he had. I just want to temper some of those expectations that he's going to have. Arizona, he played last weekend on Arizona. He only had 4 receptions, 59 yards for 9.9 points, fantasy points. I kind of want to put him as a flex play. He's not a wide receiver 2 for you. I want to stay away from DK Metcalf. And a guy that I'd rather start over him is Ladd McConkey. I just talked about him.
Yeah.
I'm more comfortable starting him over than DK.
Wow. All right. So my tight end start is Jonnu Smith versus the Packers. Guys, I'm not making that mistake. Again, not playing Jonnu the rest of the year. He's putting on really good numbers with this offense. He had 9 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown against the Patriots. Teams are scared of the over-the-top passes with Tyreek and Waddle, so they're just letting Tua dump it off to Jonnu or Achane. He's playing against the 22nd ranked defense against tight ends, and the Packers just play Jonnu Smith, guys. It's pretty simple.
Right. That's funny. I told you last week when you asked me to play Jonnu Smith over Hunter Henry, and he went off. So this week I'm going with Hunter Henry. He has such a nice floor that I want to start him. He averages 9.4 fantasy points in a game out of 6 out of 7 games. The Colts are friendly at the tight end position, allowing the 7th most points to the tight end. That's about 22% of the receiving yards that the Colts give up are to the tight end position. That's something that I like. And over the last 2 weeks, he's had 17 targets. He's really the only guy that you can count on as far as catching passes. You got to march Hunter Henry out there. There's not very many better options, so I like Hunter Henry.
Yeah, that's a good play. All right, my tight end sit is Dalton Kincaid versus the 49ers. Dalton Kincaid, I don't trust him at all. Very disappointing season for this guy who's drafted as a top 5 tight end in fantasy drafts. He got hurt in the Colts game, didn't play against the Chiefs. They had their bye week. He's averaging 8 points a game this year. And the Bills are just spreading the ball around. Shakir's the number 1 guy. Then Amari Cooper, Matt Collins, and don't forget James Cook too. He catches passes too, and the other backs catch passes. There's too many mouths to feed over there. That's why I can't play Kincaid.
Yeah, I agree. I was high on him coming into the beginning of the year. Drafted him in a lot of drafts, and he's really been a bad play for you. I can't play him as well. He's going against the 49ers. Until you see any production out of him, it's hard to start him. I think you can find someone else to play. So I'm going to go with the number 1 tight end pick at the beginning of the year. I'm going with Sam Laporta. He's going against Chicago. Here we're playing on Turkey Day, but I don't think Sam Laporta is going to have a big day.
Yeah,
he's another guy that I'm talking about as being really inconsistent. One week he might get you 15 points, and the next week he's maybe under 5. He's just really inconsistent. The Bears are a good defense. I think they're going to struggle, and with Jameson Williamson back, he's stealing a lot of that play. The Lions love throwing the ball downfield. They're not checking down and looking at the tight end. I think he's starting to get phased out of this game plan. The Lions are explosive offense, and they love just trying to rip it downfield.
No doubt about that. All right, so now it's a flex play of the week. I got Bucky Irving versus the Panthers. Bucky had a great game last week against the Poverty Giants. He had 12 carries for 87 yards and a touchdown, and had 6 catches for 60 yards. He outsnapped Rachaad White for the first time, so that possibly means we're going to see him as the alpha running back taking over that backfield. And he's going up against a 32nd ranked defense against running backs. So love this matchup for Bucky.
Right. He was my flex play. I agree. Snap percentage, right? Rachaad White only had 32 snaps. Bucky had 34. He's going against Carolina, who is the absolute worst team for fantasy running backs, which means Bucky Irving is going to have probably a good day there. So he was my pick as well. Like you said, I like Bucky Irving going against Carolina. That's a good flex play for me.
Yeah, that's good work by this guy. All right, that's going to wrap up the Week 13 starts and sits, guys. A big thank you, guys, for watching the video. Please give it a like if you enjoyed. If you're new here, please subscribe. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We'll see you next time. Peace.